Hi everyone, so today I'm going to show you how to set up your web domain. I'm going to share my screen. If you're going through Reclaim Hosting, the first two steps will be applicable to you, but if you're using a different server, then it won't be as applicable. So if you're using Reclaim Hosting, you're going to want to do two things first. First, you're going to want to set up a subdomain, which you'll use for our course. So from your main Reclaim Hosting login, when you log in, you'll reach your client portal, which will look like this. The C panel here is your control panel, which is where you'll work on your website. Once you get into your control panel, the two areas that will be most relevant for us will be our applications and our domains. To set up your subdomain, you'll click subdomain here. And your subdomain will be whatever comes before the dot before the name of your main website. For us, I will create one called core example. Once you get out of here, it generates the name for you so you can make sure you like it. When you're done, hit create. If you double click on this, sometimes it will think that it has already been created and come up here saying that has already been created in red. So if that happens to you, in our next step, I'll show you where you can check to see if it was created successfully or not. So once it has been created, go back. If ever you want to return to your home screen, just either hit home or hit these 9 squares on the side. Now we're going to install WordPress on our subdomain. If you end up wanting to use your main domain later and want to install it, you'll have to do this exact same process again for your main domain. So here is where WordPress lives for your domain, or potentially domain and subdomains, plural. Once you've installed it, you'll go to My Applications here to find each instance of your WordPress. But first, we'll have to install it by clicking this Install this application. There's a few things to note here. First, you want to check, or you want to install this specifically on your subdomain. If I were to install it right here, it would go on my main domain. So instead, I have to drop down and choose my subdomain. This is where you can check to see if your subdomain was properly created. As you'll see, I have a lot of subdomains from past courses. This one is called Core Example. Okay, when you get to it, here we go. Oh, too far. When you get to it, there's 4 versions. You can choose whether or not it has www before it, or you can also choose whether it's HTTP or HTTPS. HTTPS adds an extra security layer that makes this little lock symbol show up in the corner. So I'm going to choose no www with the HTTPS. That's up to you to choose. Now, another important thing you want to think about is whether or not you want your landing to look like this and add the extra word blog at the end, maybe the word home, maybe writing, etc. For me, I prefer not to. The important thing is if you keep it in there, it has to be used when you're sharing that hyperlink in order for the link to work. So if you do add blog here, make sure that when you send it to me, it is included in your link. But as you noticed, possibly when I deleted it, it deleted it from here. So this is how you can double check what your domain will look like. So I'll show you again. Blog. Oops, blog. See, it pops up here. And delete it. Okay, there's a few other things you might want to think about here. If you have another first language that you prefer, you can change your settings so that your WordPress backend will show up in that language. These settings I like to keep the same because they are the recommended settings. However, importantly, if you ever want to log into the back end of your website, on your own outside of Reclaim Hosting, you need to know what your administrator username and password are. So option 1 would be to keep these, hit show password and save that password. Option 2 would be to create your own. Make sure your administrator email is correct. This one's my old one from Emory, so I'm going to change it. The website title and tagline can be changed later, and I'll show you how from the back end in WordPress. But for now, I'll just say core courses. I like to keep these because they are good for security. And then you go ahead and hit install. Once you install it, you'll go to that My Applications page while it's installing, and it'll show the installation process here. Do not leave this page while it is installing because it might create a glitch and take a while for WordPress to show up. All right, it is complete. So once you've done this, there's 2 ways to get to your site. This first link will just open your website. It won't get you to the back end of WordPress. This is just the blank template that it puts on for you when you create a new WordPress site. But as you'll see, that title that I created did come through. We'll show you more about that later. If you want to go directly from Reclaim Hosting to the back end of your WordPress site, just click this second one. Additionally, if you ever need WordPress support, there's a link here. So this is what the back end of WordPress looks like. This is called your dashboard. Now, if you ever want to log in from outside of Reclaim Hosting, you just need to add this WP admin at the end after your website name, and it will pop up with a login queue, as opposed to having to go step 1, log in here, and then step 2, hit this, right? So I'll show you really quick with another one of my websites what that looks like. /WP-admin, put it in there, and see it ends up bringing me in here with my login credentials saved from my computer, but you'll have to input them for yourself if you end up doing it the first time on your computer. So now that we've done that, I'll show you a few things. What I'm going to do is start by showing you this is the makeup of your website, as WordPress just gives you a template. But I'm sure you're going to want to change the layout. The layout's something you want to think about for that about page that you'll be writing by the end of the semester. Considering who your audience is crucial in deciding what your website layout is going to be. If you ever want to get back to your dashboard, you can literally just click up here, or you can go dashboard. I'll show you what each of these mean, but you can always shortcut to get to these later. And similarly, if you ever want to go back to visit your site, that's all you have to do. Get that preview and see what it looks like. So appearance is where you can change the layout. Themes are your layout options. It comes already with 3 theme options. If you want to add new, you can either click add new right here, or you can add new here. Now, when you get to your themes options, they're organized by popular, latest, favorites, and then you can also search themes. So these are popular, well-known, but another thing you can do is search. For instance, if you have a food blog, and you'll notice on the food blog options, they're very photo oriented. This is something to think about with the theme that you choose. Do you want it to pop up with a picture with a little bit of script? Do you want it to be just a picture with the title? Do you want it to be, oh, see, this one has picture, title, and a little preview of the script as well. So I'm going to go down here. I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to search for ones that relate to writing. Oh, yeah, writing. Let's see what options we have. We've got one called blog writing, but like I said, this one still pops up with the title and then the image. This one has an icon with the title. Simple Basics might be a cool one to start with. I like the way it has this image underneath the menu, and the title of the website is very distinct. And then it looks like it's text oriented, but I'll also show you, it will have an option for putting pictures there too. Once you install it, you also have to hit activate to make it go live. It will bring you back to that manage themes, and you have the option to customize. If you're not in this page, you can always customize right here. The cool thing about the theme is that it will show you here what changes, how your changes are looking as you make them. So as I talked about in that WordPress installer, you can change this title whenever you want. So your site identity is called core courses. Like, you can change it there. You can add another tagline. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Ancient to ancient text. Inform today. So what you can do, interesting. I don't know why it's not displaying this tagline. It's a great question why this tagline is not popping up on this. Let's see. I delete it and I bring it back in. Why is it not popping up? Let's see. I don't know. Okay. So for that reason, I'm going to hit publish to save that, but I'm going to go change the theme to something where I can see that tagline because I personally like it. Now, you can change that tagline to be your website name, and tagline is anything that you want. I will be saving your name and your website along with your name in my records, but you can adjust it based off of what you think you prefer. It could be the course name. It could be a title that you create based off of the themes in the course as well. So anything like that might be fun for you to choose, and you can wrap that into the ideas that you're thinking about your audience and your layout and what your overall goal is with writing in this course. So I'm going to add a new theme. Ooh, go latest. Don't yet see anyone that I like particularly. So, oh, here's a cool one. Let's try Grid Hot. Let's see what it does. Activate. I'm gonna hit customize. And now we'll see if that tagline is visible. Yep, now it shows up, ancient text that inform today. Yeah, so more options. I'll come back to menus and explain them later after we get into the difference between posts and pages. However, widgets are something that pop up sometimes along the sidebar. Oh, this one has options on the top, top left. Some are bottom, footer. Okay, so we go footer one widgets. I'm going to add a widget here. Let's add a little calendar at the bottom. See what that looks like. take a minute to load. You can add a title. Maybe I'll put due dates, right? Done. Let's see what it does. There we go. And we've got due dates, in which I could probably wonder what will populate on here. You might want to play around, because this one just seems to pop in. But I think actually, instead of due dates, I should write posts. Because in this type of widget, it usually is just populating what posts come in the day that you're working on. So here, 10. If I choose the 10th, which is today, let's see what ends up coming up. Oh, it just shows it. It looks like it's okay. It's thinking. It does. I think it ends up bringing in the posts for today. But you're going to want to play around. If you want a calendar that has more functionality, you can look up calendars in plugins, which we'll talk about plugins later. You can do a whole bunch of other things. You can add audio, images. You can add, if you want an archive of your previous posts or recent posts, right? You can do a tag cloud, which I'll talk about tags a little bit later when we talk about posts. And if you want some text, maybe you want a little quote, you can add a little text. Here are theme options. Some themes have more options, more types of colors you can change, and some allow less to change. For instance, this only allows you to change the header and the background color, but I don't see anything about font here. See if there's anything that looks like it would be font here. I don't think so. So keep that in mind. Oh, it might be in other options. Nope, it is not. So keep that in mind. If you want to change colors more distinctly, you might end up choosing a different theme. Right now, let's put the header, make it purple. Oh, see, okay, it's header text. So it's text just for the header. Whoops. Colors, background. So you can only change the header text and the background color. And then let's go with this light purple, or light, let's make this blue happen and see what happens. Where? It's not really showing where this background color here is changed. So that's another thing you might think about. I'm gonna hit publish because I do like that purple. Now you could put a background image on. If you do want to put a background image on, you're going to want to think about what background images will be functional. So something that's very complex might be visibly strange and hard to see the whole of it, especially once you have many of these grids. We have some more post options, some of which you can do with individual posts, like hiding comments from posts, but you would have to do it on each individual post, as opposed to here where this is the meta space where you can do it for all. So what I recommend doing is, once you get a theme installed, is going through all the options and playing with what options that theme offers you and what you feel like you need or want. For instance, this one has links options to social media, which is great to just add right up here with that little icon. Actually, I think it ends up here with that little icon, but you don't necessarily need it for the purpose of this course, right? All right. Then let's talk about plugins really quickly. Like I mentioned, plugins are extra types of functional cool things that you can add to your website. You can add something to help you embed documents. Oops. Oh, I have to go to add new. Sorry, I was searching existing plugins. So you can look at for how to embed things into your WordPress site. So Google Docs, YouTube, Maps, although YouTube will automatically embed, I'll show you a little bit later. But PDFs don't, so that, for instance, might be cool. I'm going to specifically show you one called Elementor, which is a different type of page builder that you can use for either posts or pages. I'm going to install it, but I won't talk about the details until after I show you how to create a page or a post. That way you can see the difference between the regular WordPress editor and then what Elementor adds. You do have to hit activate in order to get it to activate. Now I'm going to talk to you about posts. Posts are what end up showing on that home page unless you change that setting. And I'll show you how to change that setting later after we create some pages. But if you're in my 101 courses, you have to use posts for all of your reading responses. If you're in my 301 course, you will have to use posts for your close reading, your distant reading, and the reflection between the two. All other assignments will be individual pages. So go back to home. And we go to posts. It's really easy to add a new post, and they create a sample post for you first. So I'm just going to go in and hit edit in this sample post that they already created. You can always trash it and delete it if you want. All right. So this is your WordPress editor. Now, if you haven't installed Elementor, this will not be here. This is where you have the option to switch to editing with Elementor, which I'll show you later. But here's the title, which I'll change to post 1 so we can see the difference. And I'll write a little bit of content. A little bit content for my first post. I'm going to update it. That means because it was already published, you hit update. Now there's a bunch of options and things you can do here, right? You can change the font. You can change here the text color and background color, which is awesome because if you remember, we could not change that background color in the theme. So there is an option here. So let's go with a light cyan blue. Oh no, that's the text. Sorry, I don't want that. I want the text to stay dark. And then we'll do that cyan blue for the back of the post, which is just going to be fun. Okay, update. Now, if we go back, view the website. So we've got this background here. We go into post 1. What do we have? Okay, some background just behind the text, right? Now let's go and make a second post so we can see what it looks like when we have more than one. So if we go to posts, we can go directly to add new, or we can go into posts and we can add new here. Add the title, post 2. We can say a little content for post 2, and then we can do a bunch more things. So I'm going to grab an image from Flickr in order to add something. Now, I go to Flickr specifically because it is a great website for finding Creative Commons photos. Creative Commons are photos that you can share, you can use without infringing upon copyright laws. So if I search ancient texts, let's see what pops up. All right, my internet is slow because I'm in the room furthest from the router, so I apologize for that. There we go. Okay. What ends up coming up? Some cool things. Oh yeah, okay. Nice. Ooh. Tea. Okay. What would we want to use? Oh, so right now we have it on any license. We need to change this to all Creative Commons, like I was talking about. Will restrict the quantity of the post or your search results. Oh, there's only one thing with these little corkscrews. It's fun. Oh no, more loading. I'm gonna change this to ancient Greece. Get a better search result. Okay, we're still on Creative Commons here. Let's take this picture of Corinth. I'm gonna hit download, and you can choose what option to download. Now you get the name of the creator here, you get the title here, and then here's where you get the license. And you can click on this once it's done downloading. You can click on this and get more information about whether you can share it, to what extent you can share it. For some reason it's being very slow. There we go. Okay. This one says, so this is the literal license type, but it will break it down and tell you what you can do. So you can share it, you can adapt it, so you could create a meme out of this if you wanted to, right? But under the following terms, you must give appropriate credit to the creator and indicate if changes were made. You also need to have the same license as the original if you make changes, which means that you can't change it and then say, hey, this is mine, I'm going to copyright it. So if we go back to the image, one way I like to do this, well, I'll show you in a second. So we're going to add the image here by just hitting image. I'm going to use my media library and add it, because if we just hit upload files, you can select files and it'll go into your file system in your computer, but you can also just drag and drop and it's super easy. Now it's done, and I will select that. Well, there before, I can even add a few things in here if you want. The description is cool if you want to enhance accessibility. Picture of ancient Corinth, or no, the ruins. Because if somebody is using auto dictate, it'll pull from this description to dictate the details of the picture. You can put a caption on. If you put a caption on, it'll be added every time you insert the picture, but I'll show you another place where you can add a caption. So if I just want a caption in this instance, I can add it right here. It auto generates this place to add caption. We can edit this really easily. We can shrink it, right? We can use any of these to change different components to it, like cropping it. I can create a link with this if I want, with the entire photo. I can also change the alignment. I'm going to align it center. Now, another cool thing you can do is that anytime you write something in WordPress, you can create a link in that text, embed it. So I'm going to cite this picture. One second. that tab? There we go. So it's Michael Kogan. I'm going to copy the link and write, oh wait, what was the name? It was called Ancient Corinth. Yeah. Ancient Corinth. Now I can choose just the title, highlight it, click this little link button, and then just paste that link in here. So now if I click on this, it's giving direct attribution to the owner and creator of this image. Now, as you're working, it's always a great idea to hit Save Draft. And then when you're ready to publish, you hit Publish, but before that, you can preview it in a new tab. Boom, that's what this post is about to look like. Now, this picture is inserted within the text, right? You can also opt to put it as a featured image. So I'll show you what that looks like and how it ends up being different. The featured image is what ends up coming up on the main homepage with all your posts. You can't see what it looks like right here. Now, if we're editing with Elementary, you will be able to see. I'll show you later. But if I hit Publish, and then I go home, and I go back to my website. Now you will see that the picture, which is a featured image, comes up here. So post 1 didn't have a featured image, which is why it has that blank square. So you'll see that this theme is very oriented with pictures. Some themes have the option to show nothing when there's no featured image, where they wouldn't have this little square blank. It would just be the text. But this one is picture oriented, so it seems like you would want to prioritize adding a featured image. Now, if you click the post, the featured image now shows up before the title. So we have the featured image coming up here, and then the embedded image within the post here. So you can make that choice for your own writing as you go about creating your posts and pages. These are some widgets that came with the theme. So if I end up categorizing my post, it would auto-populate into the side over here, but you can also delete these widgets if we go back to the widget tab that I was talking about earlier. Now, if I edit posts, I'm just going to show you how you can tag and create categories before I show you a few more things. So in post, we've got categories. So this is where you can create a new category if you do want it to populate on that sidebar like I was showing you. Tags, similarly, you can add a tag. Tags will make your website more searchable in search engines, but also it will allow you to do other things if you want, such as creating a word cloud with your tags. Now, another cool thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to insert videos and other types of content. So you can always browse here the types of content that you want to include in your post, like a video, for instance, right? And it has the option for YouTube, Vimeo, and you could just create a file and upload it here, right? However, if you're doing it straight from YouTube, it's way easier than that. So I'm gonna go to YouTube. I'm just gonna get a random video about ancient Greece. Not saying it's a good one. I'm just gonna pull in for the sake of this example. Okay, so let's get this History Channel. Ooh. So if I just hit copy for this link, and then I go here, I just pasted it in here and it immediately embeds it for me. That's all I needed. Update, and it's there. That was very easy. Now I'm going to show you a page. It's very similar. You go add pages, and it gave us a sample page. I'm just going to edit that real quick and change the title, and I'll make us a new page so that you can see. So let's just title this to About, since you'll be making an About page. Update. And I'm going to add another one. Let's pretend one of our papers ends up being titled Identity in Ancient Greece. Sure. And then you can, it basically works the exact same way as a post. You'll see that this sidebar disappeared. It was actually just this little settings. And there's back. So you can still do all the things that we did before, like add photos, categories, etc. Actually, this one doesn't have categories. If you ever want to turn off comments, you can turn on and off comments with this little discussion tab, which is a good idea if you want to avoid spam, because spammers will also get in the way and be very annoying adding comments if a bot finds your website. Now, CAPTCHA is a type of plugin that you can add if you want to prevent comment spam. It's basically when you have to input, save this, I'm going to publish this to show you. CAPTCHA is basically where you input some content in order to be able to add a comment. It's when you have to check that check mark, yes, I am a human, or input some numbers or select images of a certain sort in order to prove that you're not a bot. So there are a variety of options if you do want to use CAPTCHA in order to restrict your comment capabilities. I'm going to go back to pages and show you a few things. First, I'm going to edit this. So like I said, it functions the same way as a post. However, I'll show you what it looks like when you go to Elementor. When you go to Elementor, it's basically like a drag and drop version of the block editor I've already shown you. But as you're doing it, it shows you what your page ends up looking like. So here's how the whole thing will look, right? And I can add a widget. You can choose if I want multiple things in one bar, or if I just want a blank singular instance of a widget. And when I hit plus here, I can choose, okay, I want an image. And you can choose here that image. Now, I will say it's not the featured image. You have to go back to the page we were on just before in order to do the featured image. Always hit save draft here. And there's advanced settings you can get to up here. Motion effects and fun things you can do. If you go back to content, you can add another widget, select structure, add something, and you can go through all the widget options. You can search them. For now, I'm going to add text. You have to use this little sidebar text editor. This is my longer update. So that's what it ends up looking like. And in order to get out, you hit this little button, go exit to dashboard. It'll bring you back to that block editor before you actually go all the way to your dashboard. And this is where, like I said, you can change that featured image. Now, if I just go to my site, some themes automatically add these new things right here to your menu. This one does, not all of them do. So if it doesn't add them automatically, go to menus, which you can also find in the back end of your dashboard in appearance menus. So if it has not been created, you add menu name and then hit create menu. It's funny that this one is there, but it doesn't say that. Okay. So what you want to do is add maybe primary menu, I'll call it that. Right. And then it's good to hit automatically add new top level pages to this menu. That way, each time you create a new page, it just automatically goes up there, and then you hit primary menu. Then you hit create menu. Once you hit create menu, it'll let you add the pages you want to that menu. So see, I've got these two. Add. Boom. Save. All right. Now, I'm actually going to add one more page, and it'll automatically go into this menu because I hit that option. I'm just going to create another one. I'm going to create another page that's just named post that has nothing on it, so I can show you an option for where your posts appear. So go here. When you go back to your appearance and your themes, and customize your theme. You have this option. Sorry, wrong thing. Homepage settings. To change, currently my homepage shows up with my posts, right? Now I have this menu here with all my options. If you want your about page, for instance, to pop up as your main landing page when people arrive at your website, you can choose a static page. Choose the page that you want to be your landing about, and then change where your posts live to be a page called either posts, or if you're in my 101 courses, you could change it to a page called reading responses. If you're in 301, you could change it to close and distant reading, for instance. That is up to you. It just has to be clear to me where your posts live so that I know where to go when I'm grading. So now if I hit publish, it changes what happens here. It should. I'm going to go out of here and show you. Now I've arrived onto this about page. And if I go to post, that's where they live. Awesome. So I believe I've showed you everything there is to know. A few other things you could explore: media, which is where all of your images, videos, etc. files will live. And you can add things directly here if you want to add them before you end up working on your posts. You can also edit them. You can also check out your settings. There are some things like time zone, etc. on here that you might want to check into, your administrator email address and such. If you want to, Elementor So as you add plugins, they'll sometimes come up as tabs here, so you can get a little bit more details on the settings and mess with those. You can add templates and then save them here if you like a particular layout. And another little quick thing to note is that you do want to keep WordPress as updated as possible. If there's a new version of WordPress, hit update because it will help with security and it'll also help your plugins and other content run better. So feel free to ask me any questions in email after class or at office hours. I'm happy to walk you through any of these details as we go about composing your blog.